Welcome back to Who Died Today USA channel. In the past few days, we have received somber news about the passing of extraordinary talents. Today's episode is dedicated to honoring their memory. Additionally, we will recap the stars we have recently lost. Before we begin, we kindly ask for your support. If this video or the legacies of these remarkable individuals have touched your life, please consider giving this video a thumbs up as a sign of respect and remembrance. Thank you. Jonathan Joss, best known for voicing John Redcorn on the beloved animated series King of the Hill, tragically died at the age of 59 in a fatal shooting in San Antonio on June 2, 2025. According to the San Antonio Police Department, Joss was shot near a residence on Dorsey Drive around 7 p.m. A suspect, 56-year-old Sigfredo Alvarez Ceja, was taken into custody and charged with murder. While police have not confirmed a motive and stated they found no evidence of a hate crime, Joss's husband, Tristan Kern de Gonzalez, alleged the incident was homophobically motivated and that the couple had faced repeated harassment at the location. Joss was an acclaimed Native American actor of Apache and Comanche descent. He brought authenticity and humor to his portrayal of John Redcorn over more than a decade on King of the Hill. He also appeared in popular shows like Parks and Recreation, where he played Ken Hotate, and had roles in Tulsa King, Ray Donovan, and the 2016 remake of The Magnificent Seven. His most recent credit was in the 2023 video game Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty. Beyond his acting, Joss faced recent personal hardships, including a house fire in January that destroyed his home and killed several of his dogs. A GoFundMe had been created to support him during that time. Joss was set to reprise his role as John Redcorn in the upcoming King of the Hill revival on Hulu, expected to premiere in August 2025. His sudden and violent death has left fans and colleagues in shock, with tributes highlighting his unique talent and the cultural importance of his work. He is remembered not only for his performances, but also for his courage, with his husband stating that Joss pushed him out of the line of fire to save his life. Renee Victor, a vibrant force in American film and television, touched the hearts of countless viewers through her dynamic performances and cultural authenticity. Born in San Antonio, Texas, on July 25, 1938, she began her career as a singer and dancer, gracing stages with the elegance of Latin rhythms alongside her husband in the beloved duo Ray and Renee. Their performances brought joy across continents, especially during their celebrated time in Australia. Victor's transition into acting brought her talent to even greater heights. Audiences grew to love her as the spirited Lupita in Showtime's Weeds, and as the unforgettable voice of Abuelita in Disney Pixar's Coco. With warmth, humor, and heart, she gave life to characters that reflected the strength and spirit of family, tradition, and love. Her performance in Coco helped bring the richness of Mexican culture to the world, making her a cherished part of the Pixar family. Her journey was not without trials. In her later years, Victor faced significant health challenges, including a long battle with lymphoma. Yet, she remained steadfast in her passion, continuing to act and inspire even into her 80s. Just last year, she was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award, a fitting tribute to her decades-long contribution to the arts. Renee Victor passed away peacefully at her home in Sherman Oaks, California, on May 30, 2025, surrounded by her loving family. Her legacy lives on through every scene, every line, and every memory she leaves behind. She will be remembered for her grace, her voice, and the vibrant spirit that brought generations together. Breaking news. In a world of ever-changing stars and fleeting fame, few names endure across generations quite like Kurt Russell. For more than 6 decades, he has captured the hearts of audiences with his rugged charm, subtle intensity, and unwavering commitment to his craft. But behind the silver screen glory lies a story of resilience, reinvention, and remarkable human strength. As health concerns have sparked speculation in recent years, fans now reflect not only on his stellar career, but also on the man behind the legacy, a man whose journey is every bit as powerful as the characters he has portrayed. Born on March 17, 1951 in Springfield, Massachusetts, Kurt Russell seemed destined for a life in the spotlight. His father, Bing Russell, was an actor and former baseball player, and young Kurt inherited both passions. He began acting at age 10, quickly becoming one of Walt Disney's most dependable young stars. Throughout the 1960s and early 70s, he lit up screens in films like The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes and Superdad, endearing himself to a generation of moviegoers. Yet off-screen, Kurt dreamed of the baseball diamond. He chased that dream professionally until a torn rotator cuff ended his athletic career, forcing him to choose between defeat and a new beginning. He chose the latter. That moment of loss became a turning point. Kurt returned to acting, but with renewed fire and focus. His breakthrough adult role came in 1979, portraying Elvis Presley in a television biopic that earned him an Emmy nomination. But it was the 1980s that saw Russell's evolution into a cinematic icon. Teaming up with director John Carpenter, he created some of the most beloved cult classics in American film history: Escape from New York, The Thing, and Big Trouble in Little China. With each performance, Russell brought something unique: a quiet toughness, emotional depth, and a refusal to play characters by the rules. His ability to balance grit and vulnerability became his signature. In Tombstone, 1993, Russell's portrayal of Wyatt Earp added gravitas to a genre often consumed by caricature. In Miracle, 2004, he inspired a new generation as Coach Herb Brooks, delivering a performance rich in soul and humanity. And in recent years, whether as Mr. Nobody in the Fast and Furious franchise or as Santa Claus in Netflix's The Christmas Chronicles, Russell continues to surprise and delight audiences of all ages. But just as compelling as his on-screen roles is the enduring love story he shares with Goldie Hawn. Since 1983, their partnership has stood as a beacon of loyalty and joy in an industry known for fleeting connections. Together, they have raised a blended family and supported each other through every personal and professional twist. Their bond is not only romantic, but collaborative, reflecting mutual respect and shared values that have endured for over 40 years. And yet, like any real-life hero, Kurt Russell has faced personal battles. In recent years, concern about his health has circulated, with some reports suggesting he faced a period of hospitalization and symptoms related to a nerve condition. Though his team has never publicly confirmed specific details, Russell's reduced public appearances and a brief pause in filming did not go unnoticed. For fans who have long admired his physicality and vibrant energy, the silence was unsettling. Still, Russell remains active, sharp, and creatively driven. He has continued to appear in films, often with Goldie by his side, and his interviews reflect the same wit and grounded humility that have defined his public persona for decades. If anything, the challenges he may have faced have only deepened the public's admiration for him. What makes Kurt Russell's story so powerful is not just the breadth of his filmography, but the character he has shown off-screen. He never chased awards or headlines. He never let controversy define him. Instead, he built a career and a life on integrity, consistency, and a fierce devotion to the people and principles he holds dear. At a time when public figures often become unrecognizable versions of themselves, Russell remains remarkably unchanged. He still speaks with clarity, humor, and an old-school respect for craft. He still lives a relatively quiet life, far from the buzz of Hollywood excess. And he still acts, not because he needs to, but because he loves to. For those who grew up watching The Thing in awe, who cried through Miracle, or who now sit beside their grandchildren watching The Christmas Chronicles, Kurt Russell is more than just an actor. He is a presence, a voice, a symbol of enduring grace. As we reflect on his incredible journey, from Disney prodigy to cult legend, from heartbreak on the field to triumph on the screen, we celebrate not just a career, but a man who has lived with courage, clarity, and quiet conviction. His legacy is not measured in trophies or tabloid stories, but in moments, the lines we remember, the feelings he stirred, the characters who felt real because he made them so. Kurt Russell, thank you for every performance, every laugh, every lesson. In a world that often feels like it is spinning too fast, your story reminds us of what lasts: heart, honesty, and the strength to keep going. What is your favorite Kurt Russell memory? Was it Snake Plissken's cool defiance, Coach Brooks's fiery inspiration, or a moment shared with family through his newer roles? Share your reflections below, and let us know which screen legend you want to revisit next as we continue honoring the timeless heroes of Hollywood. Some performances live quietly in the background. Others, like Loretta Swit's portrayal of Major Margaret Houlihan, redefine what's possible. Over 11 seasons of MASH, Loretta didn't just play a role, she reshaped it. What began as a caricature became, in her hands, a complex, driven, deeply human woman, thanks to an actor who believed her character deserved more. Her castmates noticed. They called her family. Alan Alda, Jamie Farr, Mike Farrell, they weren't just colleagues. They were lifelong friends, bonded through years of laughter and layered storytelling. She made the most of her time here, Alda wrote, honoring the way Loretta helped evolve Hot Lips into simply, proudly, Margaret. Off-screen, Loretta's compassion extended far beyond the soundstage. A tireless advocate for animal rights, she gave voice to those who couldn't speak for themselves. Whether working with PETA or serving on the board of Actors and Others for Animals, she brought the same integrity and fire that fueled her acting. Loretta Swit passed peacefully on May 30th in New York City, leaving behind not only an unforgettable body of work, but a legacy of strength, humor, and purpose. Her Emmy wins, her films, her activism, these are chapters in a life fully lived. But perhaps her greatest role was as a friend, a mentor, and a woman who stood tall, on and off screen, showing that true impact comes not just from being seen, but from being true. And in every rerun, every laugh, every quiet moment of grace, Loretta's light shines on. George Wendt, the beloved actor who made Norm Peterson a household name, was born in 1948 in Chicago, Illinois. With deep Midwestern roots and a down-to-earth charm, George brought authenticity and warmth to every role he played. For over a decade, he welcomed audiences into the world of Cheers, portraying Norm with humor, heart, and impeccable timing. The role earned him 6 Emmy nominations and a permanent place in television history. But George's journey to that iconic bar stool was far from simple. He began his career in comedy with Chicago's legendary Second City, honing his skills in improvisation and storytelling. It was there that he discovered a love for performance that would guide his path through the ever-shifting world of show business. Like many actors, he faced rejection and uncertainty, but George never lost his grounding or his sense of joy. Beyond the screen, George was known as a generous friend and devoted family man. He inspired his nephew, actor Jason Sudeikis, and served as a quiet example of how talent and humility can go hand in hand. Jason remembered him not just as an uncle, but as a role model, proof that an acting career was not only possible, but meaningful. George Wendt passed away peacefully in his sleep on May 20th, 2025, at age 76. In life and in art, he gave people a reason to smile. Whether delivering a quick one-liner or simply walking into the bar with that familiar Norm greeting, he made us feel like we belonged. His legacy endures in laughter, friendship, and the memory of a man who made us feel right at home. With elegance, intellect, and quiet determination, Jean Marsh reshaped television storytelling. One idea, one character at a time. Best known as the co-creator and star of Upstairs, Downstairs, Jean gave voice to those so often overlooked in history. The people behind the scenes, the lives below the stairs. Born in London in 1934, Jean grew up during the Blitz and began ballet classes at age 7, not for art's sake, but to regain her strength after childhood illness. That resilience would echo throughout her life. She chose the path of performance, carving out a space for herself in theater, television, and film during a time when working-class women rarely had the opportunity to create their own narratives. In 1971, alongside close friend Eileen Atkins, Jean launched Upstairs, Downstairs, a drama that explored class and human dignity in Edwardian England. Her portrayal of Rose, the head parlor maid, earned her an Emmy in 1975 and admiration on both sides of the Atlantic. She returned as Rose in the 2010 revival, once again showing that compassion and quiet strength are timeless. Jean's talents extended far beyond acting. She co-created The House of Eliot, performed alongside legends like John Gielgud and Laurence Olivier, and published novels that let her characters live in their own truth, even surprising her along the way. In her final years, Jean lived with complications from dementia and passed peacefully at her London home, lovingly cared for and remembered by dear friends. Jean Marsh was not just a storyteller, she was a voice for those rarely heard. Her legacy lies in the characters she gave life to and the doors she opened for others to dream, create, and be seen. John Sykes, born in Reading, England in 1959, was more than a guitarist. He was a force of passion, precision, and melody. From his early days with the Tigers of Pantang to his unforgettable work with Thin Lizzy and Whitesnake, Sykes brought both fire and soul to rock music, shaping a sound that still echoes across generations. His talent first drew wide acclaim when he joined Thin Lizzy in 1982, contributing to their final album, Thunder and Lightning, and adding a new intensity to the band's legendary farewell tour. It was with Whitesnake, however, that he helped craft something extraordinary. Their 1987 self-titled album, featuring hits like Still of the Night and Is This Love, sold over 20 million copies worldwide, with Sykes co-writing much of its success. But the journey wasn't without hardship. After recording the album, he was unexpectedly dismissed from the band. The fallout was personal and painful, yet Sykes moved forward, forming Blue Murder and pursuing solo work. While commercial success came and went, his artistry never wavered, and neither did the loyalty of his fans. In January 2025, John Sykes passed away at the age of 65 after a hard-fought battle with cancer. In his final days, he expressed deep gratitude for the support that carried him through the highs and lows of a remarkable career. Sykes was remembered not just for his virtuosity, but for his humility, his fierce loyalty, and the undeniable light he brought to the stage. His music endures, a testament to the heart behind every note. John Sykes lived loudly, loved deeply, and played with soul. His sound lives on. James Lowe's voice was the soundtrack of a revolution, one that didn't march in the streets, but floated through transistor radios and turned living rooms into galaxies. As the lead singer of the Electric Prunes, Lowe didn't just sing psychedelic rock, he channeled it. When I Had Too Much to Dream last night first poured through the speakers in 1966, it wasn't just a hit, it was a portal into something new, wild, and wondrous. It soared to the top of the charts and etched its place as the opening track of the iconic Nuggets compilation, a collection that captured the restless soul of a generation. Born in Southern California, James was the eldest of 9, raised in a household where music and curiosity went hand in hand. His creative spark carried him far beyond the stage. After leaving the band in the late 60s, he reinvented himself as a gifted engineer and producer, working with Todd Rundgren's Nas and helping shape the early sound of Sparks. But even after stepping away from music, the dream never left him. In the late 1990s, encouraged by a wave of renewed interest, James reunited the Electric Prunes and returned to the road. What began as nostalgia became something deeper, a reminder of the power of sound to reconnect us with who we were and who we still are. When James passed peacefully on May 22, 2025, surrounded by his family and favorite songs, it was not an end, but a coda. A life lived fully, fearlessly, and with enduring grace. His legacy is one of vision and warmth, of experimentation and heart. And for those who ever felt transformed by a song, James Lowe remains a quiet legend, forever electric. Clodagh Rodgers brought light to every room she entered, and a song to every heart she touched. From the moment she stepped onto the stage as the United Kingdom's Eurovision representative in 1971, singing the unforgettable Jack in the Box, she captivated audiences with her voice, charm, and indomitable spirit. Though she placed fourth in the contest, the song became a beloved hit, launching her into a whirlwind career that lit up British television and theatre for decades. Born in Warrenpoint, Northern Ireland in 1947, Clodagh's rise wasn't without hardship. At a time of deep division in her homeland, her decision to represent the UK in Eurovision brought her both acclaim and risk. Despite facing threats, she stood tall, graceful, resilient, and determined to share her music. Her success soared in the 1960s and 70s with chart hits like Come Back and Shake Me and Goodnight Midnight. She graced popular TV programs, headlined West End shows, and even became the face of Bisto Gravy, a household name whose warmth and presence became part of daily life. But beyond the spotlight, she was a devoted mother and a pillar of strength for her family. Clodagh passed peacefully on April 18, 2025, after a 3-year illness, surrounded by those who loved her most. Her son described her as the rock of this family, a woman who gave her life to music, to joy, and to her 2 sons. She leaves behind a legacy not just of performance, but of courage, laughter, and enduring love. In every note she sang and every stage she graced, Clodagh Rodgers left behind a melody that will forever echo in the hearts of those who listened. Michael Brewer's voice carried more than melody. It echoed the hopes, ideals, and humor of a generation. As one half of the beloved folk rock duo Brewer and Shipley, his music became the anthem of a counterculture era and the comfort of simpler times. With One Toke Over the Line, Michael captured a moment in American life that was as joyful as it was rebellious, earning a place in the hearts of listeners everywhere. Born in Oklahoma City in 1944, Michael's path began in coffee houses and nightclubs, where he strummed his guitar and sang songs that spoke to peace, protest, and the pursuit of something more. When he joined forces with Tom Shipley, a lifelong friend and musical partner, their harmonies and wit resonated deeply with fans across the country. Together, they defied expectations, writing songs that challenged authority and lifted spirits. Their 1971 hit, written in a moment of laughter and camaraderie, became both controversial and iconic. One Toke Over the Line was more than a tune. It was a reflection of the times, banned by some, beloved by many. And despite challenges, including government scrutiny and evolving music trends, Michael stood by his art with quiet pride. Even after the charts faded, his music endured. Brewer and Shipley reunited, performed for devoted audiences, and continued recording, reminding the world that their message still mattered. Michael also released heartfelt solo albums, all reflecting his unmistakable style. After facing multiple illnesses over the past 3 years, Michael passed peacefully in December 2024 at the age of 80. He left behind not just a catalog of songs, but a legacy of authenticity, laughter, and deep connection with his audience. In every lyric, his spirit lingers, still singing, still smiling, still one beat over the line. Julian Holloway brought laughter to generations with a twinkle in his eye and impeccable comic timing. Best known for his roles in the beloved Carry On films, Holloway's career spanned decades, screen genres, and continents, yet he remained, above all, a consummate actor devoted to his craft. Born in 1944 into a theatrical legacy as the son of Stanley Holloway, Julian carved his own path with charm and wit. After training at RADA, he stepped into the spotlight with roles in television's Our Man Higgins and classic British comedies like Porridge and The Likely Lads. His performances in Carry On Camping, Carry On Up the Khyber, and other installments made him a household name, his face a fixture in British humor during its golden age. Though his comedic roles endeared him to millions, Julian's talent reached far beyond. He brought nuance to dramas, stood alongside icons in Doctor Who, and starred in films such as The Rum Diary and A Christmas Carol. In his later years, he moved to the United States, where his distinctive voice carried across screens in animated favorites like James Bond Jr. and Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Despite professional acclaim, Julian's proudest role may have been as father to Sophie Dahl, a model and author whom he had with writer Tessa Dahl. Those close to him describe a man of warmth, sharp humor, and enduring kindness. Julian Holloway passed peacefully on February 16, 2025, in Bournemouth, England, after a brief illness. His legacy lives not only in film reels and television reruns, but in the hearts of those who knew him, and the countless who laughed because of him. Devon Hargess, born July 29, 1983, in Lubbock, Texas, carried the rugged spirit of the open plains into every role he played. Just 3 days after he was born, his father lifted him and his sister onto horseback, a moment that marked the beginning of a life rooted in grit, humility, and quiet determination. Devon's journey to the screen was far from easy. From performing in small theaters in Texas to off-Broadway stages in New York City, he embraced every opportunity with resolve. With no shortcuts or spotlight early on, he built his career the hard way, through passion, discipline, and tireless effort. His breakout came as the legendary boxer Jack Dempsey in HBO's Boardwalk Empire, a role that showcased his ability to channel strength and vulnerability in equal measure. Audiences later came to know him as Pete Baylor in NBC's Manifest, and through appearances in Gotham, Orange is the New Black, Daredevil, and more. Beyond the screen, Devon was a devoted student of martial arts and a familiar face at the local gym, finding stability and focus through physical discipline. His friends and colleagues remember him as someone who poured his heart into his work, always striving to grow, always lifting those around him. In the winter before his passing on May 27, 2025, Devon faced complications from a serious illness. Even then, he remained grounded, generous, and quietly brave. Devon leaves behind not just a body of work, but a legacy of integrity, perseverance, and kindness. His story reminds us that even the quietest voices can leave a powerful echo. Charlie Scalise, remembered fondly for his roles in The Wire and The Sopranos, lived a life rooted in family, faith, and quiet perseverance. Born on July 19, 1940 in South Philadelphia, Charlie's earliest stage was the pool hall above which he grew up, entertaining patrons with jokes and impressions. That joyful spirit would later define his career and legacy. Long before stepping into the spotlight, Charlie built a successful path in business, rising through the ranks in sales before founding his own consulting firm. But in the early 1990s, he returned to the world of performance with community theater, bringing beloved characters like the Cowardly Lion and Billy Flynn to life with grace and heart. Television soon beckoned. Charlie brought depth and quiet strength to his portrayal of Horseface Pacusa in The Wire, and later as Coach Molinaro in The Sopranos, offering moments of reflection and humanity that resonated deeply with audiences. His work in shows like Law and Order and Homicide, Life on the Street, added to a career built not on fame, but on authenticity. In his final years, Charlie faced the long journey of Alzheimer's with dignity, supported by the love of his wife of 62 years, Angeline, and their 5 children. He passed peacefully on May 1, 2025, at the age of 84, surrounded by care. Yet the heart of his story was never just the screen. It was the dinner table, the family gatherings, the stories shared and remembered. Charlie Scalise leaves behind a legacy not just of characters, but of character. Honest, loving, and unforgettable. Olga James, a luminous presence in American music and film, graced stages and screens with elegance, talent, and timeless poise. Born on February 16, 1929 in Washington, D.C., to a musical family, her father a saxophonist, her mother a dancer, Olga's love for the arts was nurtured from the very beginning. She studied opera at Juilliard in New York City, honing a voice that would later charm audiences around the world. In 1952, she made her professional debut in Paris with the opera Four Saints in 3 acts. But it was her heartfelt performance as Cindy Lou in Otto Preminger's landmark 1954 film Carmen Jones, alongside Harry Belafonte, that introduced her to a wider audience. Olga's tender and soulful portrayal left a lasting impression and remains a highlight in film history. On Broadway, she starred opposite Sammy Davis Jr. in Mr. Wonderful, 1956, singing the show's title song with warmth and spirit. She later brought her grace to television in The Bill Cosby Show and became a celebrated nightclub performer throughout the 1950s and 60s. Her life off stage was marked by deep love and quiet strength. She was married to saxophonist Julian Cannonball Adderley until his passing in 1975, and later to singer and civil rights advocate Len Chandler. Olga James passed peacefully on January 25, 2025, at the age of 95, following complications from a fall. She leaves behind a legacy of artistry and dignity, remembered not only for the roles she played, but for the beauty and strength with which she lived. Her voice, her presence, and her spirit continue to echo through generations. Breaking news. In the world of country music, few voices have carried as much soul, conviction, and grace as Randy Travis. With a signature baritone and a heart rooted in faith and storytelling, Travis shaped an entire era of neo-traditional country music. But behind the awards, the chart-topping hits, and the standing ovations, is a man who faced one of life's toughest challenges and chose to fight, not just for his music, but for his very ability to speak and stand. How does a singer recover when silence suddenly takes his stage? Randy Travis's journey may hold the answer. Born on May 4, 1959, in Marshville, North Carolina, Randy Bruce Trawick grew up surrounded by gospel and country melodies. Though his early life was marred by rebellious choices and run-ins with the law, it was his raw talent that caught the attention of Elizabeth "Lib" Hatcher, the woman who would become his manager and later his wife. With her guidance, Travis moved to Nashville, and in 1986, the release of Storms of Life launched him into superstardom. His deep, emotional delivery on tracks like Forever and Ever Amen, Diggin' Up Bones, and Deeper Than the Holler gave voice to a generation craving sincerity. He helped revitalize traditional country music during a time when pop country dominated the airwaves. With 7 Grammy Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and a place in the Country Music Hall of Fame, Randy Travis was not just a singer, he was the soul of a movement. Do you remember the first time you heard "Forever and Ever, Amen"? How did Randy's voice make you feel in that moment? But fame does not shield one from adversity. In 2013, Randy's world was upended by a series of cascading health crises. First came viral cardiomyopathy, which weakened his heart and led to congestive failure. Then, a massive stroke struck, leaving him in a coma and with a grim prognosis. Doctors questioned whether he would ever walk, talk, or sing again. For a man whose life revolved around voice and rhythm, the silence that followed was devastating. Yet, Randy refused to give in. With his wife Mary Davis by his side, he embarked on a long, grueling path to recovery. Therapy sessions became his new concert halls, and every small word uttered was a note reclaimed. Though he lost much of his speech and mobility, his spirit remained unshaken. Fans rallied, peers paid tribute, and country music embraced him with open arms. Have you or someone you love faced a challenge that seemed insurmountable? What helped you keep going? While he could no longer perform in the traditional sense, Randy made appearances at award shows and special events, receiving standing ovations simply for walking onto a stage. In 2016, he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, where he brought the audience to tears by singing a line from "Amazing Grace." It was raw, it was imperfect, and it was a miracle. Then came the next chapter, and it was powered by innovation. In 2024, using artificial intelligence, Randy Travis released a new song, "Where That Came From." Carefully crafted with AI technology trained on his earlier recordings, the track allowed his voice to sing once more. It marked a new kind of comeback, one that bridged heart and hardware, memory and music. The release was met with awe and gratitude, not just for the technology, but for the courage behind it. What do you think about using technology to preserve an artist's voice? Is it a beautiful tribute, or something more? Alongside this, a biopic is in the works, set to bring his life story to the big screen. Titled "Forever and Ever, Amen," the film aims to honor both the brilliance of his music and the resilience of his spirit. Country singer Clay Walker has been cast to portray Randy in his later years, adding a layer of authenticity that fans will appreciate. Today, Randy Travis may speak fewer words, but his message echoes louder than ever. He and Mary Davis have become passionate advocates for stroke awareness and aphasia research, using their platform to educate and uplift. Through the Randy Travis Foundation, they support music education and health initiatives, ensuring his legacy sings far beyond the radio waves. And what a legacy it is. From the quiet roads of North Carolina to the grand stages of Nashville, from silence back to song, Randy Travis's life has never followed an easy rhythm. But it has always been honest, heartfelt, and true. He reminds us that music is not only about sound, it is about connection. It is the voice we share when words are lost. It is the fight we choose when no one is watching. What lesson from Randy's journey speaks to you most? Is it his faith, his perseverance, or the love that carried him through? As fans, we remember the melodies, but we also remember the man who sang them with every ounce of his soul, and who, when stripped of everything, still stood tall with grace. What is your favorite Randy Travis memory? Was it the first time you heard that timeless baritone? Or maybe that moment he sang again after so many years? Share your stories in the comments below and let us celebrate a legend whose voice continues to heal, inspire, and endure. And if Randy's story has moved you, subscribe to our channel for more powerful tributes to the artists who remind us what it means to be human and to never stop singing.